Is St. Johns County actually worth the premium, or are buyers simply paying more for a reputation that has taken on a life of its own? It is one of the first questions that comes up when people begin exploring Northeast Florida, and it is not a small one. On paper, the difference is clear. Homes in St. Johns County often come with noticeably higher price tags than comparable properties across many parts of Jacksonville. Square footage can cost more, lots can be smaller for the same price, and entry points into the market can feel elevated compared to surrounding areas. And yet, year after year, buyers continue choosing it. Not just local families who know the area well, but relocation buyers arriving from across the country who often zero in on St. Johns County almost immediately. That kind of sustained demand forces a deeper question. The real conversation is not just about why it costs more, but whether that additional cost actually translates into long-term value. To understand that, it helps to start with the single, most influential factor shaping the market: schools. Education has been the foundation of St. Johns County's growth story for years. The county has built one of the strongest public school reputations in Florida, consistently reflected in performance data reported by the Florida Department of Education. Families moving into the region frequently begin their home search by comparing school districts, and St. Johns County often rises to the top of that list. That matters because school performance does not just influence lifestyle decisions, it directly impacts real estate values. When a district consistently performs at a high level, demand for housing inside those boundaries increases. As demand rises, prices follow. Over time, that relationship becomes embedded in the market itself. High-performing school zones develop a reputation, and that reputation attracts more buyers, which reinforces pricing. It becomes a self-sustaining cycle. Even buyers without children often factor this into their decisions. Real estate markets consistently show that homes located in top-rated school districts tend to hold value more effectively and attract stronger resale demand. When market conditions shift, these areas often demonstrate more stability than surrounding neighborhoods. For many buyers, that stability becomes part of the justification for paying a premium. They are not just purchasing a home, they are buying into a market environment that has historically proven more resilient. But schools alone do not explain everything. The second major driver behind St. Johns County's appeal is how it has been built. Unlike older parts of Jacksonville, where development occurred gradually over decades, much of St. Johns County's growth has been intentional from the beginning. Large portions of the area have been developed as master-planned communities, designed with infrastructure, amenities, and long-term growth in mind. That difference in planning creates a noticeably different living experience. Communities like Nocatee represent this approach at a high level. Nocatee is not simply a subdivision where homes were added over time. It was designed as a complete environment. Residential neighborhoods, parks, water parks, trails, retail centers, and dining options were all integrated into a cohesive plan. The goal was not just to build houses, but to create a lifestyle framework where daily life could happen within a defined area. This type of design changes how residents interact with their surroundings. Instead of driving across the city for basic needs or recreation, many activities can be handled within the community itself. That level of convenience becomes a major factor in buyer decision-making. Amenities such as pools, fitness centers, playgrounds, and walking trails are not afterthoughts. They are central features that enhance everyday living. Social events, community gatherings, and shared spaces create opportunities for interaction that are often harder to find in traditional subdivisions. For many buyers, especially those relocating from out of state, this structured environment provides a sense of ease. It removes uncertainty. It offers a clear picture of what the community looks like today and what it is expected to look like in the future. That predictability carries real value, particularly for buyers who are unfamiliar with the region and want to avoid unknowns. Infrastructure plays another critical role in shaping the St. Johns County experience. As population growth accelerated over the past decade, local planning focused on aligning development with roads, schools, and commercial expansion. This coordination has helped maintain a level of functionality that can be difficult to achieve in fast-growing areas. When new neighborhoods are built, they are often accompanied by grocery stores, restaurants, healthcare facilities, and retail centers within a relatively short time frame. That sequencing matters. In many regions, development can outpace infrastructure, leading to congestion, overcrowded services, and a decline in overall quality of life. St. Johns County has made an effort to stay ahead of that curve. Wide roads, newer school facilities, and modern retail centers contribute to an environment that feels organized and manageable even as growth continues. For buyers, this translates into a smoother day-to-day experience. Commuting routes are more predictable. Access to services is more convenient. Neighborhoods feel cohesive rather than pieced together over time. Population growth has further amplified these dynamics. Northeast Florida has seen a steady influx of new residents over the past several years, many of whom are relocating from higher cost markets. Buyers arriving from places like the Northeast, California, or parts of the Midwest often compare Jacksonville area housing prices to what they are accustomed to, and in many cases, St. Johns County still appears attractive relative to those benchmarks. This external demand adds another layer of pressure to the market. Relocation buyers often bring equity from previous homes, giving them greater purchasing power. That allows them to compete more aggressively for properties, which helps sustain higher price points. It also reinforces the county's reputation as a desirable destination, drawing even more attention from incoming buyers. At the same time, development activity within the county remains strong. Builders continue expanding residential communities, and commercial development follows closely behind. Retail centers fill in, healthcare providers establish new locations, and infrastructure projects continue supporting the growing population. This ongoing pipeline of projects reflects confidence from developers who are investing significant capital into the region. When builders and businesses continue committing resources at that scale, it signals a belief in long-term demand. Yet the premium still introduces important trade-offs that buyers must consider. In many cases, comparable budgets can stretch further in other parts of Jacksonville. Buyers may find larger homes, bigger lots, or lower price points in areas such as the north side or west side. For households focused primarily on maximizing space or staying within a specific budget, those alternatives can be appealing. Commute times also factor into the equation. As St. Johns County continues to grow, traffic has become more noticeable along key corridors, particularly for residents commuting into downtown Jacksonville or other employment centers within Duval County. While infrastructure improvements continue, commute considerations remain part of the decision-making process for many buyers. These trade-offs highlight the reality that no market offers everything. The decision ultimately comes down to priorities. Some buyers place greater emphasis on affordability, space, and flexibility. Others prioritize schools, community design, and long-term stability. St. Johns County tends to attract those who fall into the latter category. The consistency of demand suggests that many buyers see the premium as justified within the context of their goals. Looking ahead, the conversation becomes even more nuanced. Jacksonville as a whole continues evolving, and other areas are beginning to develop at a faster pace. The north side is gaining attention due to logistics growth and infrastructure expansion. The west side is attracting buyers with affordability and new construction opportunities. Downtown is seeing renewed investment and long-term planning efforts. Over time, these areas may offer similar amenities or lifestyle features at lower price points, creating more competition within the broader market. However, St. Johns County currently holds a significant advantage. It has an established reputation, a strong school system, and a track record of coordinated development. These factors create a level of confidence that is difficult for newer markets to replicate immediately. Buyers are not just evaluating what exists today, they are evaluating what they believe will hold value over time. That forward-looking perspective is one of the reasons the county continues attracting both local and out-of-state interest. For many, the decision comes down to how they define value. If value is measured purely by price per square foot or the size of a home, other areas may offer stronger options. But if value includes stability, predictability, community design, and access to well-regarded schools, the equation shifts. St. Johns County begins to look less like an expensive outlier and more like a strategic choice. The premium reflects more than location alone. It reflects the combination of planning, infrastructure, and reputation that has been built over time. As Northeast Florida continues growing, that combination is likely to remain a significant factor in buyer decision-making. Some buyers will continue exploring emerging areas where prices are lower and development is still taking shape. Others will continue choosing the established framework that St. Johns County provides. Ultimately, whether the premium is worth it depends on the individual. For buyers focused on maximizing space or minimizing cost, the answer may be no. For those prioritizing long-term stability, structured communities, and a predictable growth environment, the answer is often yes. What remains clear is that St. Johns County has positioned itself as one of the most sought-after markets in Northeast Florida, and that position has been reinforced by years of consistent demand. As the region continues to expand, the question will not disappear. But for many buyers in 2026, the answer is already being reflected in where they choose to live. I'm Luke Christmas, and it's always Christmas when you work with Christmas Homes.